listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. What? Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake. Lineage go back to U.S. Southern plantations. Lineage, Jim Crow and mass incarceration. Redline and lynchings. We are old from this nation. You're not about justice if you ain't for reparations. MG the wise one. Cousin Mother intellectual. Samantha bringing fire. Anti-black, we pressing you. No permanent friends and no permanent enemies. The backbone of the country. To win, you need our energy. You gon' see. Listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake.
Meeting, or are we gonna drop this?
No, why? If we do a Negro meeting, nobody will hear it till next year. No, this should just be dropped because this shouldn't take us more than 30 minutes, 40 tops. I don't think it should be like no whole hour kind of deal.
You know what that means. I mean, that shit gonna be 2 hours, but I ain't gonna say that.
We'll see. I don't think so though.
All right.
All right. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Welcome to Reset Race, where we discuss race and how race functions in the United States, and in particular, how it functions in politics and policy in the United States. My name is Michael Graham. I am one of your 4 hosts. You can catch my writing at actifypress.com and some of my older writing at progressivearmy.com. You can't catch me on Twitter anymore because Twitter bounced me, and I feel unloved. So with that said, let everybody introduce themselves, and we start with ladies first, of course. Let's say and Sam, talk to the peoples.
And that's why you need to come to the dark side and join this clubhouse.
I don't have an iPhone. I ain't special like y'all.
I'm not saying nothing, Mister, but I'm pretty sure you can find I'm pretty sure you can afford one of those cheapy ones. Yeah. It don't say you got to have the good one. You can have one of those little cheapy ones. Nah. But yeah, okay.
I'm not joining the cult. God damn it. Go ahead.
Clubhouse is not the cult. Clubhouse is gonna be the cult breaker. Let me tell you.
I said it. What? Go ahead.
So funny. But I'm Samantha Angelique. You can find me on Twitter you can either find me at me 17 trillion or at me 27 trillion. But right now it's pretty much at me 17 trillion until people start getting on my nerves and I start blocking people. And then at me 27 trillion will be the place that I don't block people. That'll be the place people can go and say what they want and do what they want to do. And I'll just let you do you. But I think at me 17 trillion, y'all might start getting blocked. And y'all can find me on the Clubhouse from time to time. At me 27 trillion on the Clubhouse. That shit is addictive. But I'm having a good old funky time. And I'm looking forward to doing this video right here. Cause yeah, let's get to it.
All right. Mud, talk to him.
All right, so you can find me on Twitter at Of Lineage. I also have my YouTube channel, Bitter Dose TV. It's one word. That's where I go after lefties on my own. Basically, just breaking down their arguments like I do here with the crew.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. All right, John, talk to him.
Yeah, it's your favorite one out the crew that you wish that was not in the crew. Hey, when y'all gonna kick me off the show? Anyway, kick me off the show. Get a nigga with a PhD on the show. Nigga. Hey, at the end of the day, it's John C. You know what I mean? Like Twitter is at John Danny OC. You want to follow me? And I really don't care because I'm really just here to get justice for my people, man. And just, you know what I mean? I don't care about none of that. Like, of course, I do want the bag. I want the reparations bag, and then I want the reparations bag. And I'm not taking that bag unless all my people get the bag, for real. Like that's how I'm coming at it. And I'm with my family, and we about to go. Alan said we about to go grill somebody. Is this Uncle? If we gonna kill Jim Crow Joe, we gotta go grill one of them. But anyway, you about to go do this, and happy to be here, and let's go do it. We back to the grill. Let's do it.
Facts. All right. So what we're doing here is this is our first, probably not our first time, but it won't be this is our first time on the show, but it likely won't be our last time where we go after centrists. This is Jim Crow Joe, as John mentioned, it's from the Deconstructed podcast hosted by Ryan Grimm, who you'll hear a show on him later, or you may have already heard it. Depends on where we release these. This is some leaked information from leaked conversation from Joe Biden's discussion with some civil rights organizations. Joe got all them black votes, and he's good. He don't need nothing from y'all. Free vote giving niggas. So sorry, folks. This is my dog in here with me. So if you hear some weird noises, it's my dog, not me. All right, so we're gonna listen to this a little bit. It's not a long piece, and we're gonna run it down. Sam, you got anybody got anything before we get started?
No.
Nah, let's just rock.
Aim to the unspoken force that kept getting in the way of making the school better. White parents. How white parents can mess things up for everyone else without even knowing it. Nice White Parents is made by Serial Productions, a New York Times company. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to Deconstructed. I'm Ryan Grimm.
We ready to go?
Hello.
On Tuesday, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris held a private Zoom call with a small group of civil rights leaders from across the country.
This is a completely closed call, so just want to remind you of that. There's no recording.
Clearly, somebody did record, and now I have a copy of it, and now you're listening to it. Present for the Zoom was Derek Johnson, president of the NAACP, Vanita Gupta, a former ACLU attorney who was Obama's Civil Rights Division head, the Reverend Al Sharpton, Sherilyn Ifill, Melanie Campbell, who is the president of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, and soon-to-be former Congressman Cedric Richmond, who Biden has named an assistant to the president. In many ways, it was a Zoom call like any other.
Can't hear you, Cedric. You're on mute.
It also included a few Biden-esque boasts.
I'm the first person, black or white, who called attention to the fact that you were finding that there was the rate of people who were African Americans who were dying was 3 times that of white people. I don't carry around a stamp on my head saying progressive and I'm AOC, but I have more of a record of getting things done in the United States Congress than anybody you know. Anybody you know.
Some Biden cringe.
By 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. Hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population.
Go right ahead.
Right,
but the gag is, go ahead, MG. The gag is.
A couple of things there, okay? Yeah, he has a great record of getting things done. Things that harm black people. The main people that put his punk ass in office.
Say it. Let me say it, MG, because MG is saying it the nice way. He has been keeping his boot on the necks of Negroes for generations. This man, people talk about the 94 crime bill, but people don't talk about the shit that he did in the 80s that ramped up what happened in the 90s. Like, because he be trying to be like, the 94 crime bill didn't, but we know about the other one before that, pimping. So no, Joe Biden read the eulogy at Strom Thurmond's funeral. And if you don't know who Strom Thurmond was, y'all need to get on Google and look him up. He was a big time racist, segregationist. And he was like, this guy was my friend. He was on that Bernie Sanders. Joe's a good guy. Strom's a good guy.
All right. Now that's number one. And we've talked about this whole fabrication of the Latino Latinx vote. Latino vote as if they vote as they work, as if they vote as a monolith. We're being held hostage. But first, when he was talking about reparations during his campaign, he said, "Well, we'll help Black people when we help Native Americans," and now we got to work with Latinos in order to get something done. So basically, we have to lay our needs on the ground and help everybody else.
And MG, can we say that Latino is not an ethnicity?
It is
Latino
not.
is not an ethnicity. This is a fabricated group of people like white people. This is what they did with white people. Yep. Exactly. Because originally you weren't white, you were German, you were Irish, you were Protestant, you were Catholic. And then when it was time to shore up so people could get work and everything else, y'all banded together as white people to keep Negroes out. Now we got this group of Latinos, which are Mexicans, Guatemalans, Nicaraguans, people from Spain, people from Brazil, people from El Salvador, like Cuba, like the Dominican Republic, like, yo, this is not a group. They are a bunch of people from different countries. The second largest ethnicity in this country is Black people, period. Unless we want to start next to white people. And to be honest, fuck it, let's disaggregate all the data. Because I'm tired. How about y'all go back to being Irish Americans and everybody else gets a hyphen but white people? How about y'all get a hyphen too? I'll either that or y'all make us whole so we can all be Americans. But until you do that, how about we just break it all down?
Something, anything. John, what you got, man? Thank you, Sam.
You know what? Oh man, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm coming into this video a little cold because I knew we was going. I had a feeling because I had the feeling we was gonna get Jim Crow Joe, man. But this shit is just like this shit is big about it. It's kind of a big ass. We told you so. Like, you know what I mean? We told you. Like, this shit is crazy. The way that he's talking to our quote unquote Black leaders and shit like that. So you got the head of the ACLU. He talking down to them like they children. Like, remember me? First of all. All right, so he's saying, remember me, I'm the one that was saying that Black people die more from COVID than anybody. Remember that shit, nigga. Remember what, fuck the crime bill, fuck the bullshit I did. Remember that shit, nigga. And matter of fact, though.
Hey, John, that's two. You only got two more.
Oh, damn. Or I see that. All right, well, remember that shit, nigga. I got one more then. Fuck it. Nah, Sam, that's
it, Pimp. You only get 4.
Oh. But I for sure. Now I'm playing. I'm fucking debut, sis. Now you right. I just want to say my play, but I just feel like it's just funny the way that he's talking to our so-called quote unquote the Black leaders that was really hugging his nuts, like he was really going to help people and shit. Like real talk, lesser of two evils, and then he get all these Black leaders in the room. He's talking down to them like they kids. They really hugging it. No. Pause. They hugging his nuts. Like, come on, man. Like real shit. Like Joe Biden is better than Trump and blah blah blah. Now he's in power. Like the most important thing is he getting in power. He's in power. He's just like, yo, I'm the only one that said that. Man, people been saying that. If he was really real about, be honest about taking care of Black people, the people that put him in office again, the people that helped him win Georgia, flip a state. Like I said, we flip states. We flip Florida blue, flip Georgia blue. You know what I'm saying? Like help this motherfucker. And he just like, man, you Negroes should be. I'm the one, Negro. He should. If he was really serious, he would have been apologized. Like, listen, I fucked up. Like I fucked up. I fucked up. What can I do? You know what I mean? Feel me like, what can I do? Because if we talking to other groups of people, his shit wouldn't be on some shit like, I'm the only one that said Native Americans get their land back. I'm the only. He be like, what can I do, Native American? What can I do? To us, he like, man, I'm the one. I'm the one, Negro. And then he flips it to like, well, we know that the Spanish gonna be the. See that? That's that POC bullshit. You feel me? Like the Spanish gonna be the. But all right, I'll let y'all get it. I'll get them later. My bad. No more N-words either, Sam. I'm sorry. I'm trying to cut it down. You're right.
That's Joe trying to lower the bar.
Did you hit your max? Did you hit your max, John? Did you hit the final fourth one?
I think I hit my max. I hit my max for the night.
Yeah. So for y'all who don't know, we or should it be 5 like in the NBA? Like you foul out at 5, right?
You trying to foul me out? I foul out. You know what? I ain't trying to foul out. Put me on the bench now.
Remember, John. You and I have the same rules, sir.
Definitely, you're right though. Damn,
I don't put it on you any more than I put it on myself. So
you know, the same rules, but you hold it down. You know what? I'm on the bench for 30 minutes. Cousin Mud.
You don't have to be on the
got?
bench. You just can't say it no more. You gotta wait till we switch to back to the next episode.
For sure. I'll keep it in the cut. Cousin Mud, say MC, what I got?
All right, Rose, cut it out. All right, Mud, what you got, man?
I mean, John kind of said it. Like, we saved Joe Biden's campaign, and this is supposed to be him having the meeting with us after he said he has our back. And what the fuck is he talking about? We need to get along with Latinos. Like, he's not talking to the Latinos, talking about how they need to get along with us because we saved his ass.
It makes no sense.
Talking to us about how we need to get along with Latinos. Like, the whole shit is fucking backwards. And everybody, like, all these black celebrities, all these black influencers, all these black activists that sat there and kissed this man's ass. Well, this is what the fuck we get.
Yup. I want everybody to take this L too. I need Yvette Nicole Brown to take this L. I need Jamel Hill to take this L. I need all you hashtag Black Girl Magic chicks who was pushing this Indo-Jamaican, because her father is Indian Jamaican. At best, this woman is a quarter Negro. At best. But y'all champion it, right? Black people vote. Joe Biden got us. We go get a black woman. Ski week. Yeah, ski week all over your face.
Sam.
Don't do it. Don't do that shit.
But it's real though. It's real. Like we were sitting there fighting these motherfuckers saying, no, we gotta make demands or else this motherfucker's gonna do this shit. And this is exactly what the fuck he did.
Yeah, vote for free. This is what it gets you. That's what it gets you. We said it from the beginning, and they
told us, shut up, Negroes, you fucking hoteps, you out here. What do you want? What do you want him to do? We just want a black woman. Well, congratulations, you got your Indian, Indo-Jamaican, quarter black woman at best.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Congratulations.
With zero ties to the black community, zero ties of
no black family. Because she ain't got no kids of her own. At least if her and her man had a kid, she'd at least have a biracial running through the world. But she ain't got no black family. And y'all can be mad at me if you want, but it is what it is.
Oh, those are stepkids?
She got them white stepkids.
Oh, yeah. I did not know that.
That's obviously they ain't got no Negro in them. They ain't got no type of color in their bloodline. Listen, no. My next door neighbor, that was a biracial couple when I was growing up, right? Both of their kids had white skin, but you could still tell that these were part Negroes. Those are not. Okay. They ain't got no black in it. Like,
yeah, she's barely Negro. You know what I mean? I
said quarter at best. She's a quarter at best. But people don't understand race and ethnicity, and I'm gonna keep saying this because Jamaicans are white, Jamaicans are black, Jamaicans are Chinese, Jamaicans are Indian, Filipino. They everything. So if it would have been a Filipino, would y'all be like, oh, it's a black woman from Jamaica? Like, sorry, let's move on from that. Because people be in their feelings, and I don't really care about Kamala Harris like that. I really don't, because she'll unless Joe Biden kicks the can or she pushes him down some stairs, she ain't never gonna be president.
Straight up.
Oh, she gonna push it down the stairs. Ain't no question about it.
Did he break his ankle the other week or some shit?
3 times before you out here. He's hit that dude. Uh-oh. My internet. Y'all hear me?
Yeah, I still hear you. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Do we want to keep going, or we got any more to say on this?
I'm good. Mud, you got anything else for y'all before you were so rude to interrupt it?
I got all my points off.
All right, cool. All right, Sam, let's keep riding. Anybody else got anything before we go?
Oh, and John, this video gets better.
No.
Y'all
on mute.
And some Biden temper.
Let's get something straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay? Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it.
But it was also a space for an airing of, if not grievances, at least slight disappointments, and a forum for civil rights leaders to lobby Biden on everything from personnel to executive action to legislation. Many of those in the meeting urged Biden to be aggressive in his use of executive power.
I want to ask that you consider issuing an executive order to create a national task force to examine challenges to our democracy, a national voter access commission.
It's going to be important, for example, that one of your first actions is a reversal of the executive order that President Trump promulgated that essentially seeks to gag conversations about diversity, race, and history among anyone who contracts with the federal government. And so we would ask you to lend your voice and your strength and your input.
Did you notice the shit that they're asking for does not economically change the material condition of Black folks? I don't give a fuck about you not being able to get checks from the federal government to go in and do race training, which, don't get it twisted, I see the value in it, but that's about academics getting checks. That's not about improving right now the material conditions of Black people. Y'all aren't asking for an executive order to do a study for reparations. You aren't asking for an economic empowerment act like the Latinos got and the Chinese got under Trump, and the Chinese got Asians got Asian Pacific Islanders got an empowerment act under Obama, under George Bush, and under Bill Clinton. This shit goes all the way back to the 90s. So these people need to quit trying to play games. So Joe Biden's giving us his ass kiss talking about he's only gonna do what's constitutional. So was it unconstitutional when you did that shit when you and Obama did it? Because if so, then you need to take that shit back.
But this is all tough talk, because he's so used to people kowtowing to him. You know, everybody's like, he's so used to sitting on top of Black folks and telling them what the fuck he's gonna do and not gonna do, even though he depends on our votes. And this falls on all the, like you were saying, Sam, this falls on all these Negro liberals who've been kissing his ass all this time and telling us to shut the fuck up. Well, we were right the whole time. But I'm sure they knew we were right the whole time. They were just trying to secure the bag, you know? So, all right, John, Bud, you got anything on that?
I mean, yeah, like, I am so tired of motherfuckers. Like, the big ask that we give to these politicians is about securing our right to vote. Like, we should be telling them that we aren't voting for them in the first place, number one, until they
our right to vote and get nothing.
Yeah, like, we aren't going to vote until you actually give us something that is of value, first of all. Second of all, they need our vote. They should be the one fighting for our vote. Like, we shouldn't have to tell them, and that shouldn't be the thing that we're exchanging. You know, like, this should be a given that they already have in mind.
Yeah, they should. But that was my thing before. As soon as Trump won, they should have been on this. You know, but they were too busy with that Russia bullshit that suddenly disappeared. Now we can trust the system.
They should have been on it during Obama.
Russia, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of like that healthcare shit, like, the first thing he should have been fighting for is to, like, secure our right to vote. That should have been priority number one.
That's right.
Yeah, but I think what he's alluding to here, what he alluded to earlier, is they getting ready to kiss Latino ass in order to get their vote, so they don't need our vote. That's gonna hurt their damn feelings in a minute here. Even in this cycle, they saw that they are not a coherent group.
The Dems are gonna get slaughtered in the midterms. They're gonna fuck. It's gonna be some John Wick kind of bloodbath shit.
When you add it all up, like, the amount that, like, the amount of votes they actually get from Black people versus the amount of votes they get from Latinos, I don't care what their population is doing right now. It's not adding up to what we're giving to the Democrat Party.
No, nowhere near. And even with our handicaps that they keep sliding in our way.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. John, what you got? Thanks, Bud and Sam.
Yeah, you guys are completely right, man. Like, that shit is just the disarray. Like, he's talking to our quote unquote Black leaders. Like I said, that was really that was really saying like, this is Joe Biden's the last. When we get Joe Biden in, then we could get him to do shit. And he's talking to them like they children, man. Like,
Yeah,
like
he is talking greasy.
Like they kids, man. Like he a daddy and like, yo, bro, you know, bro, you know who
Not
you
even
talking
a
to?
daddy. He yelling like somebody else's kids. They their kids.
he like, I'm gonna beat some kid ass, nigga. I'm gonna beat his ass
Big,
tomorrow. I'm like, yo, who the fuck is this dude? Like, you don't even know my mama, motherfucker.
It's
You
your
got
week,
my
nigga.
matter
It's your weekend, nigga. Come get these goddamn kids.
Your weekend, come get these kids while I beat their ass. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? What? Like you talking to them crazy, like. And we told you, like, we told you Jim Crow Joe's on some real bullshit. We told you that Jim Crow Joe, real shit, he have no allegiance to the black community. We understood.
And that he's a straight up racist.
He's straight up racist, up and down, anti-black racist. He will not talk to no other minority group in this country like the way he's speaking to our quote unquote black leaders, people that fought. Motherfucking fucking Simone Sanders done tackled the motherfucker like Bobby Boucher out this bitch. Hit this motherfucker like, Gatorade.
Water sucks. Water sucks.
He's tackled the shit out this motherfucker. You got motherfucker Stacey Abrams, who really mobilized Georgia voters to vote for this motherfucker. Like, go on TV and embarrass her. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then now you think, man, we seen the whole shit coming together. So like, this shit is just like, well, you know, yeah, voted for Jim Crow Joe. This is what we get. We knew this was going to come. We knew this was going to be the hardest fight that we ever going to have to fight. Like, real shit. We knew that the Trump fight was going to be hard, but
yeah, they really going to push him left, right?
Yep.
When Bernie punked out, the push him left shit was dead. It was dead. It was dead immediately.
Real talk.
I mean, but it was dead. It was dead on arrival. Like they didn't have no fucking.
That shit was
sway.
DOA.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's true. Because everybody that's supposed to be pushing is a punk. So I'm sorry.
They have no power. I ain't gonna lie, bro.
And they're in it for themselves and not for the people. It has been a very long time since we have had Black elected officials that were for Black people, that were actually for bettering the conditions of their people. And to be honest, at this point, I would just take a Black official who cares about poor people and improving the material conditions of poor people. Because if you would do that, at least we would get a couple dollars, but y'all not even doing that. We have the worst elected officials ever. And to see that a lot of these people got to keep their jobs, I have no words. I still don't understand why San Francisco is still standing. The fact that Nancy Pelosi got reelected, I'm serious, every last Negro that was left in Oakland should have crossed that bridge on foot and burnt San Francisco to the ground.
Yeah, that's real. But but the problem is that there is no Black leadership anymore. You know, I mean, and the Democratic Party has been dumping free thinking Black folks forever. You know, that's why some recent stuff going on in our circles bothered me so much. You know, when you get rid of free thinking people, you can't grow. You can't grow. Yeah. Are some free thinking people hard to control? Yeah, it happens. But if you
can grow your pocket.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Selling out Negroes is a good job. It's a good business. It's good. You can make some money selling out Black.
You know, the funny thing, the gag is when I was in my philosophy class last fall, I said that. I was like, you know, if I decided that I just wanted to sell out my people, I could go out here and make major money. I'm way smarter than Candace Owens and look better too.
Yep,
like exactly. I could be out here getting all types of grift checks, but I just love my people too much for that type of bullshit. Plus the ancestors would torture me like in fucking Tales from the Hood. I don't want the little fucking slave dolls coming to torture my ass.
They gonna come stab you the fuck up for doing that bullshit. They can't over. You already know they coming for you. But at the end of the day, but I just wanted to just say one more thing about like real shit, like what Sam was saying, the ask. Like I think Mud said it, and I think MG said it too. The ask they was asking for. That's a part of a fucking like that's like a subset of a part of our overall reparations Black agenda that we asking for. Like they was asking for like, yo, Trump said some shit where like you can't be racist in certain areas. Can you flip that? They said with their whole chest, like, yeah. I'm like that's it. And Joe Biden said, fuck y'all. At the same time, like the littlest ass, Joe Biden was like, nah, fuck y'all. Motherfucker, I'm Joe Biden. Fuck you. I mean, I'm Jim Crow Joe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That shit
absolutely,
crazy.
absolutely.
Crazy.
I don't. What did he say? I don't feel responsible for what my forefathers did. Right. So Joe Biden is. Do y'all remember who is that black coach who was like, they were what we thought they were? Remember?
That was Denny Green.
You know who I'm talking about?
Green, yep.
That's exactly how I feel about Joe Biden. When people sitting around like, oh my God, and clutching their invisible pearls. I feel like that man, that angry. They were who we thought they were.
And
y'all just fucked up.
They always have been. And part of the problem is black folks are so busy trying to survive that we depend on these quote unquote leaders to tell us what's right and what's up. And we get fucked every time. Excuse my
They
friend.
shit.
Because they're not leaders that we picked, they're leaders that the Democrat Party picked.
Ooh, and speaking of that, this is why I love Clubhouse. Clubhouse, this girl was in Clubhouse. She was preaching some truth. She's like, who nominated these people to speak for us? There needs to be some type of democratic process about what is happening when we talk about what needs to be done for the Black community. They're saying you need to be talking to, she said, y'all need to be talking to the people instead of people who have deemed themselves leaders. I was like, woo, baby. She was preaching. I was in here. I was like, woo. I had to pull out my pen and everything. I felt like I was in church, and I ain't been to church in like forever.
Yeah. But like both of you are getting to, black politics is so, it's been so, what's the word? Gutted, really. You know, anybody that speaks up for black folks, you get pushed out. Anybody, even white folks that try to speak up for black folks, especially on economic things, you'll get pushed the fuck out. And we allow it to happen by allowing them to elevate these people like Al Sharpton's been making money off this forever. Now they got a new generation of folks, Jamel Hills of the world, and who else? What's that boy's name? Bakari Sellers. All these folks that have been elevated to speak for us, and none of them really
Bakari
are fighting.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Bakari sellout though. Talking about the sellout. Talking about that.
Yeah, Bakari sellout. Yeah, absolutely. Negro. Yeah.
Word up. That motherfucker put wave grease in the shower. He put wave grease in the shower. Like he a weirdo. I don't like that motherfucker. Like I don't like.
Well, I think
he's been doing bullshit for a long time, man.
But that's part of the. But I think that's part of the goal of this show is to give people the tools to see through this shit, right? So if they're not fighting for us economically, it doesn't even have to be reparations. But if they're not fighting to put money in black people's pockets, guess what? They're not a leader. They're not leading us because they don't know what we need. Because what the fuck we need is money, right? Right? That's part of what we need, right? It's a big part of what we need. And if they're not talking about putting money in our pockets, like Irony says, if they're not talking about putting money in the pockets of black people, they're not a leader. They have nothing to do with the black people, the black community as the greater black community. That's period. Point blank, period. And even some of the folks that are talking about money need a little more well-rounded approach, we'll say. All right, so all right, Sam, let's go.
Influence and your power and your ability to reach across the aisle to try and pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. But failing that, we would ask you to pull from that act measures that can be enacted by executive order. You have.
And I want to say this: how you ask for something, be like, but if you don't want to do that, could you just do this little half measure instead? Because we want you to do that. I'm gonna keep playing it, y'all, but I just had to throw that in there because that was some weak. That was some weak shit. Right. That was some weak ass shit. Go ahead, Mud. I'm sorry.
No, I said you're right. They need to put some bass in their voice and like make demands. Like
for real, I need her to talk through her uterus. Like
how you start a meeting with putting on knee pads? Yeah, absolutely.
Not even how you start a meeting, dropping your pants and turning around and flipping over. Like I brought some lube, but you don't have. I brought some lube, but you don't have to use it if you don't want to.
Chill.
At least spit in your hands.
Now, everybody chill the fuck out. But they doing some. You're right though. But chill the fuck out, man. Chill the fuck. God damn.
All right. Let's get. We only 4 minutes in. We got 11 minutes more to go.
The power to call for a national database on police misconduct. You have the power to ask for a registry that will allow people to easily search in public multiple misconduct complaints against particular officers. You have the ability to impose a database around police killings and police shootings. And these are things that you can do by executive order. There is a prison tragedy that is unfolding because of COVID. I encourage you to use your power to order an investigation of state.
He knows how it happened. He orchestrated it. How are you asking the arsonist to put out the fire? And that's what I want everybody to understand. Joe Biden is literally the mass incarceration arsonist. He literally set fire to everything and burnt down the whole fucking village. And then y'all hired this bastard to come in and put out the fire.
And you not even that. You let everybody else talk you into believing this motherfucker was gonna put out a fire. He came on stage with his ass lit on fire. He came out there looking like Heat Miser, and you think this motherfucker gonna put out fire? What the fuck, man? I had this discussion with people in my life. I ain't gonna name nobody. I had this discussion with people in my life, and they're like, "Yeah, Trump is gone." And you think things are gonna get better for black folks with Biden in office? For real?
Hell to the no. Hell to the no.
They locking up niggas already. Biden didn't even get in. Biden in office. Right? They locking up hip hop niggas left, and the hip hop cops was going on off the rails.
Man, right? They was like, "Oh, Lil Wayne, you want to endorse Trump? Get your black ass over here."
Get your black ass over there. They locking up niggas left and right. They are casting over 2 times. I mean, they locking up everybody. All right. Anybody else got anything while we're here?
No.
And local prisons and jails to find out precisely what is happening, and you have that power through the Department of Justice.
And here's Al Sharpton.
Hold on, damn, before Al Sharpton get in, because he about to say something. Wow, shit, boy.
You're gonna love it. Al Sharpton.
About to get wow. What you say, Sam? My bad.
Al Sharpton's awesome. Go ahead, give us your take.
Hey yo, man, this shit is fucking crazy. But nah, just to piggyback off what y'all said, man, like this shit gonna be. I think the Trump years is like to me, the Trump. I seen Trump as a Ronald Reagan type figure in policy. I seen him as a loud Ronald Reagan. Yeah, my bad.
No, you're right. Yeah.
And can we even say Trump was less racist than Ronald Reagan? Because Ronald Reagan really put some pain on our communities.
I think policy-wise he was, though. I think policy-wise, like real shit, like you go policy for policy. Like Ronald
I'm
Reagan
saying he is a Reagan-esque. I'm just saying he just wasn't quite as bad as Reagan. But please keep going. I'm gonna stop talking over you, John. Go ahead.
Oh I definitely agree. I think that motherfucking like the thing about Trump is that there's certain things like real shit like Ronald Reagan would never pass no motherfucking First Step. Even though First Step Act is weaker than motherfucking Mini-Me, that shit, you feel me? That shit weak as hell. That shit was just some straight. Feel me? Like the thing about the fact that a Republican can do some weak shit, you feel me? Like real shit and take and make black women and black men's vote double. It just shows the failure of the Democratic Party, man. Like you feel me? Like real shit. Like he just let like 2 niggas out of prison and shit. And Ronald Reagan would never let nobody. He would never let nobody out of prison. And then what Ronald Reagan did on immigration as well. I always say, like Republicans really had a Ronald Reagan stance on immigration. Motherfucking Latinos be voting 50% Republican. You know what I mean? Immediately and shit like that. But but it's just like like I don't know. The Trump years was rough. Don't get it fucked up. It was rough. Got COVID, the tax cuts, the gentrification was kicking off and everything. Like real shit, police blowing out brains out as usual. Like these was rough years, but the Trump years, I mean, the Biden years is going to be like, we got to fight erasure now. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, it's something serious. No,
like,
you ain't.
Yeah, that's all I got to say. My bad, sir. My bad.
Yeah.
No. I'm saying you preaching.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary to get worse for us, right? And for us alone. You know what I mean? Everybody else is going to be good. It's going to get worse for us.
I was on Clubhouse with an activist who was telling me that, like, somebody who was doing work with him got murdered by the cops. And, like, activists down where he's at are like kind of having to figure out, like, really pay attention to how they move. So this shit is real. Like, we already know what happened to the majority of the activists who were in Ferguson, yeah, the ones who were
Ferguson, yep.
really boots on the ground, the ones who were really organizing before the vultures came in and swooped up and took the money. But and you know, if you don't know the story, I'm not gonna name no names. You can do some research, but look up what was the brother's name? Darius. I don't know.
Darren Shields.
Darren Seals, right? Darren Seals. Yeah, so he was murdered, and like 6 or 7 activists from that particular time in protest were murdered. So this is not coincidence. This is real. Like, you know, but we got to get out here and we got to fight regardless, because they're going to come for us one way or the other. It's like, oh my God, I wish I could. Okay, so I watched Lovecraft Country, and there's this moment where Hippolyta talks about how she hates, I'm not going to get into the exact words, but I want to paraphrase it for this conversation. And she was talking about how instead of letting them lynch her, they basically just lynched her slowly over decades. So basically, y'all are letting them strangle all of us. No, they're killing all of us. They're killing all of our families, not just ADOS families. Like, they are killing the middle class. Like, white people are dying right now from opioid addiction. All races are killing themselves right now. Like, we are losing American citizens everywhere. And we're allowing it to happen. It's just a slow murder. Like, if they came to all of our houses and just started killing us off, if they just started coming to all of our houses right now and killing us off, we would fight back. But since they're doing it little by little, like they're doing it economically, right? They're making people feel like they have nowhere to go. So instead of fighting, people just give up in despair and they kill themselves. But we need y'all to fight. Like, if you gonna die, die for something. Like, be out here in the fight.
Yeah, but the big problem is people are glad Biden is in office so they can go back to sleep.
I was just going to say that.
But that's those upper middle class whites. We need to be talking to the people who are poor. Like, that's the difference. The people who are in charge, even with most of these parties that you see, when you look at the official leadership, they're fucking rich. And then the other people who, these so-called progressives that have all these fucking movements, if you look at them, they're all upper middle class white people. So they still don't have the same struggle as poor people. They don't even have the same struggle as poor white people. So it's time for the poors to rise up and tell these
left has been taken over by, I've said it before and I'm gonna continue to say it, the left has been taken over by a privileged few. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You can mad at me all the fuck you want.
And it's time for the poors to stand up and be like, we're not fucking doing this. This is not going to be, we're not going to fix you middle class people by giving you a couple of trinkets so you can feel good while we're still going to be sitting around here fucking starving, or while you make us stable poor. We don't want to be stable poor. Everybody wants to be middle class. So what are you doing to make everybody middle class? I want to be 1950s white picket motherfucking fence middle class. It don't have to be in that form, but but we got climate change and everything else coming. Why aren't we building new constructs? Like, we are still living, this country is slow. Like, I don't like, if you think about like how fast the technology and just everything in progress happened in the early development in this country, and you think about like the last 50 years, like outside of like most of the stuff that has been created has been a lot of bullshit. Like phones are good and it's good to communicate, but like, what are we creating like systems wise to make all people's lives better, right? Like,
our infrastructure is trash.
Oh, everywhere.
The thing is that the reason why all this is happening is because before they could just ignore us or avoid us or push us out of whatever program they're doing. Now that we have to be a consideration, that's why all these things can't get done. I'm sorry, but with this Biden shit, like, we're talking about the poor people are going to get lost in the mix because the media is not going to pay attention. It's not like with Trump where they're going to like throw every bad thing that happens in his face. They're going to go to sleep and they're going to try to act like none of this shit is happening.
Just like they did under Obama. That's how Obama was able to win a Nobel Peace Prize while bombing the shit out of poor brown people in foreign countries, innocent people. He wasn't just sitting around getting terrorists. He was hitting these kids, mothers, grandmothers, shit.
John, what you got?
Nah, man. Man. I think y'all said, like y'all on point as usual. Y'all grilling this motherfucker. We grilling Jim Pro Joe. So, but like, it just, I mean, just the way that I feel like this is gonna be rough years for us, man. You feel me? It's gonna be rough years for any of those people. Just the way that he's talking to, you know, these particular black leaders, man.
He
You know what I mean?
already
Like,
talking greasy and he ain't even took office yet.
he's man, nigga,
He's gonna be on some fuck you nigga shit, which see, that's my first
yeah.
one. Yeah, one
All right.
ding.
All right. Well, he gonna say fuck you. He on this fuck you. You right, Sam. He on this fuck you Negro. So he like, oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I use, and this is another reason why. You feel me? Like, well, it's two things that both parties lean on. Both parties, you feel me, lean on because they feel me on black issues, which is voting rights and criminal justice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, two things that cost the country nothing. Two things that, you feel me, will actually benefit the majority. You feel me? Not us. Not
Say
us
that.
as a
Say that
minority.
again, John. Say
Yeah,
that again. You said that cost the country nothing.
nothing.
That ding ding ding.
Fighting for voting rights and fighting for criminal justice cost the country nothing.
Were looking to the South, and they supported the struggles of the South. Now they're coming to see that their problems are very real, and they've got organized to grapple with them.
Was there something hypocritical about the fact that the South existed and the North could point the finger? And then when the Civil Rights Acts were passed in the early 60s, you couldn't point the finger anymore?
Well, there was no doubt about the hypocrisy of large segments of the nation on the whole question of racial equality. I think the best example is that many of the senators from the North and the West, and congressmen generally, who voted for civil rights legislation in 64 and even 65 of the Voting Rights Bill, refused last year to vote for civil rights legislation because it dealt with an issue applicable to the North, the whole housing question. And this, it seems to me, was the greatest expression of the hypocrisy of many of our citizens and many of the senators and congressmen of the North.
But isn't that part of the dilemma now? That people knew that Negroes were being denied what was guaranteed to them by the Constitution, by the fact that they were citizens of this country. Then when they were given those rights, do you feel the white community said, well, we've given them all that we have, now it's up to them?
Well, I think the dilemma is much deeper, and I think one during this period of transition has to be very honest with America. And honesty impels me to admit that America has broad racist elements still alive. Racism is still existing in American society in many areas of the society, North and South. And the other thing is that there has never been a single, solid, determined commitment of large segments of white America on the whole question of racial equality. I think we have to see that vacillation has always existed, ambivalence has always existed, and this to me is the so-called white backlash. It's merely a new name for an old phenomenon. I see the white backlash as a continuation of the same ambivalence and vacillation of white America on the whole question of racial justice that has existed since the founding of our nation. I think the other thing that we must see at this time is that many of the people who supported us in Selma, in Birmingham, were really outraged about the extremist behavior toward Negroes. But they were not at that moment, and they are not now, committed to genuine equality for Negroes. It's much easier to integrate a lunch counter than it is to guarantee an annual income, for instance, to get rid of poverty for Negroes and all poor people. It's much easier to integrate a bus than it is to make genuine integration a reality and quality education a reality in our schools. It's much easier to integrate even a public park than it is to get rid of slums. And I think we are in a new era, a new phase of the struggle, where we have moved from a struggle for decency, which characterized our struggle for 10 or 12 years, to a struggle for genuine equality. And this is where we are getting the resistance, because there was never any intention to go this far. People were reacting to Bull Connor and to Jim Clark rather than acting in good faith for the realization of genuine equality.
Do you think white people in this country, and I'm talking about non-segregationists, people devoid or thinking they're devoid of racism, do you have any idea of what they want the Negro to be in America?
Well, it depends on the level that we are talking here, because I think you have to make a distinction between the people who are genuinely and absolutely committed in the white community on the question of racial equality. And I must confess that I think they're in a very small minority. I think the vast majority of white Americans will go but so far. It's a kind of installment plan for equality, and they are always looking for an excuse to go but so far.
Why are they looking for the excuse? What is it about the Negro? I mean, every other group that came as an immigrant somehow, not easily, but somehow got around it. Is it just the fact that Negroes are black?
That's a part of it, and that grows out of something else. You can't thingify anything without depersonalizing that something. If you use something as a means to an end, at that moment you make it a thing and you depersonalize it. The fact is that the Negro was a slave in this country for 244 years. That was a willful thing that was done. The Negro was brought here in chains, treated in very inhuman fashion, and this led to the thingification of the Negro. So he was not looked upon as a person. He was not looked upon as a human being with the same status and worth as other human beings. And the other thing is that human beings cannot continue to do wrong without eventually rationalizing that wrong. So slavery was justified morally, biologically, theoretically, scientifically, everything else. And it seems to me that white America must see that no other ethnic group has been a slave on American soil. That is one thing that other immigrant groups haven't had to face. The other thing is that the color became a stigma. American society made the Negro's color a stigma, and that can never be overlooked. So I think these things are absolutely necessary. The other thing is that America freed the slaves in 1863 through the Emancipation Proclamation of Abraham Lincoln, but gave the slaves no land or nothing in reality, and as a matter of fact, to get started on. At the same time, America was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that there was a willingness to give the white peasants from Europe an economic base. And yet it refused to give its black peasants from Africa, who came here involuntarily in chains and had worked free for 244 years, any kind of economic base. And so emancipation for the Negro was really freedom to hunger. It was freedom to the winds and rains of heaven. It was freedom without food to eat or land to cultivate, and therefore it was freedom and famine at the same time. And when white Americans tell the Negro to lift himself by his own bootstraps, they don't look over the legacy of slavery and segregation. I believe we ought to do all we can and seek to lift ourselves by our own bootstraps, but it's a cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And many,
you know what I mean? Like, cost them nothing. I don't give a fuck. Nothing. To be honest with you, what the Democratic Party is trying to do is just extend motherfuckers' voting rights so we could just be a permanent real shit and stabilize it somewhat to be a permanent voting underclass and just be at the bottom. And the Republican Party could just do a fraction of that shit because the Democrats don't care that much. They don't really give a fuck about this. Like, real shit, they could just say, like, this is for black people, though, voting rights. If like, see that? What Democrats do is, like, it's for voting rights for everybody, but it's going to help you, black person. And Republicans say, this is just for black people, but they're not really doing this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's levels to this shit. They both playing games and shit. And it lets you know, like, both parties gonna let motherfuckers down. And this Biden year is going to be rough for motherfuckers. Y'all niggas better saddle up and ready to fight.
If you're brave enough to go out there and sell some dope on the corner, like, you should be brave enough to fight for some goddamn reparations.
Right? They got real guns and shit. Man, please.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all ready for me to get this going again? Y'all gonna, and I already know I'm on a list. Y'all gonna get me on another list.
Get me put on the list. I like my job.
We don't care about throwing fists in the air and the symbols. We want the substance. The Joe Biden I've known is substance. The Kamala Harris I've known is substance.
Oh my God.
Substance for locking Negroes up. Like, yo, I'm gonna keep playing. But you got something, because I want to keep going, because that was like 2 seconds.
Nah, just like, yo, Al Sharpton, I don't understand how we allow this motherfucker to walk around peacefully like he is not an enemy of the community.
Well, did y'all see when he went to Maryland a while back, when he tried to go up there when some shit had popped off and they told him to get the fuck up out of there? And when he went to Ferguson, then they tell him to get the fuck up out. Al Sharpton don't get to move freely through the community like he used to, because every time he show up when shit popping off, he gets pushed the fuck out. That's been happening recently. So there has been pushback. It's just that he gets to hide under his corporate masters. Because remember, he sold us out to Comcast he sold us out to Comcast for these little media gigs. Because Byron Allen said, you know, this Negro sold us out for a fucking chicken dinner.
He sure did.
Yo, did y'all see the video of Jesse Jackson getting chased out of Ferguson?
No, I did not.
Man,
I ain't never see that shit.
To Google it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, people ain't playing that shit. And it was funny too, because it was an old man who said something to Al Sharpton that day. I wish I could remember what city it was, because I remember when I first, but you know, I remember shit all the time. But yeah, when I saw that shit, I was like, it was an older gentleman too, because the dude was Al Sharpton tried to say something slick, and the dude was like, no, I was born and raised in this community, and I'm not a young man. Like, I thought it was about to be an old man fight. I thought it was gonna be an old man fight. Yeah, they shouldn't be able to move freely.
Old Negroes
to be
fight.
honest,
We don't see that shit.
To keep it a buck right now. No, but to keep it a buck, let's keep it a buck, right? No person who is in the Congress or Senate should be able to move freely, period, right now, with what is going on in this country. Period. They should not. If you see them in a grocery store, you should be like, where my fucking money? Like they should have to stay in their house. They should have to send their staff out. If your kids go to school with their kids, when you see them picking up their kids, you should holler at them. Everybody keep their hands to themselves, but you should holler at them. You should be like, how dare you show your fucking face when me and my people are starving? How dare you show your face when I have to send my family money because they ain't got no fucking food, but you here? They should have to be stuck indoors. They should not be able to go nowhere. They be having these little parties places, fucking Gavin Newsom and shit. All these fucking people be having these parties. We should be outside these motherfucking parties waiting for them to come out. Like, what the fuck are you doing and where the fuck is my money? Sorry, y'all.
Shit just got real.
I'm just saying. That and I feel like that is the best way to do it, right? Because I'm saying let's not give no violence, but they should feel that pressure, and they should feel that I'm not gonna touch you, but trust and believe I'm around you and we see you, and if we wanted to, we could. So
there's a scene in Kissinger's memoirs, do not buy the book. So it's 1971, and Nixon, remember our last liberal president? Yes, he was, not because he had a conscience or he was liberal, but because he was frightened of movements. OSHA, Mine and Safety Act, Clean Water Act, all came from Nixon. And he's standing at a window at the White House, and he's taken empty city buses and put them end to end around the White House, and he's looking out the window, and he says, Henry, they're going to break through the barricades and get us. And that's where people in power have to be. That's just where they have to be. And it's our job to put them there. And if you look back at American history, every leap toward justice and equality was made by movements that frightened the powerful. Julian Benda, the treason of the intellectuals. We have a choice in life between serving two sets of principles, privilege and power, or justice and truth. But every concession we make to those who serve privilege and power diminishes the capacity for justice and truth. We must hold fast to the moral imperative of justice and revolt. We must stand up, because finally, revolt in an age like ours is about the capacity to affirm life itself.
So maybe we got to give you that kind of energy, because all this nice, we love you, could you help us energy ain't working. It reminds me, okay, when I used to live in Miami, before I moved to Miami, I had some interactions with my people, but most of them, ugh. So when I moved to Miami, that was when I first fully became immersed in being Black, because Miami is a place of Blacks, Black people who tell you they ain't Black, and white people who speak Spanish. Like that is Miami. And I remember coming into these spaces and having issues with these Black girls, and we couldn't never see eye to eye through arguments. But the minute I put my hands on a bitch, the next week we was best friends and we was cool for the rest of the time I lived there. So I'm not saying you got to put your hands on something, but sometimes people need to know that you're not fucking with them for them to treat you with a little respect. Because if not, they don't respect you. So again, I'm not saying go put no hands on none of these people, but if you already see California stay at a motherfucker's house. So I'm gonna need everybody to start showing up at these motherfuckers' houses, figure out where the fuck they go to the grocery store, figure out where they like to go hang out. And you should be out front with a sign and a bullhorn and a fucking cowbell like, fuck you, where's my check? Give me my money. And at this point, let's stop talking about these bullshit ass $1,200 stimulus checks. We need to be talking about where's my $3,000 a month fucking UBI while we sit here and wait for y'all to figure out some shit. And no, you're not gonna force us to take no vaccine that you've only been working on for a certain amount for a couple of months. No, you gonna give us this bread for this next 6 to 12 months while we watch y'all figure this shit out and do it the right way. And then for those who are willing, they can go and get that shot, because I ain't fucking with that shit. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm Black, and they have stolen our uteruses. They have stolen our uteruses. They have stolen our fucking cells. They have given us syphilis. They have fucking killed us. So until you have the history that I have in this country, I don't want to hear shit. It is what it is. So, whew. That's how I feel about it. And that's how we feel like I'm in the 1970s from the network.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore.
I'm a human being, goddammit. My life has value. What the fuck? They are literally telling Americans that we don't fucking matter, for there to be bread lines and everything else all over the place. And people can't feed their families in the richest country in the world. Like, we need to handle this.
American poverty is a choice. It's a choice that the elites made.
Exactly. And we need to give the elites some of that pressure. And y'all know where some of these motherfuckers live. How about y'all be talking about the 1%? How about y'all start boycotting the 1% outside their gates? Because, you know, they got gates. Like, start making people feel this heat. Everybody should feel this heat. Start looking up who these donors are, these big donors that are donating to Pelosi and these people who aren't fucking giving us money. Let's start putting the heat on them. We need to make these motherfuckers afraid. Like I said, don't put your hands on nobody, but they need to feel that motherfucking pressure.
Shout out to Maxine Waters, because I think she needs a wake-up call. She's been there so long, and
yes,
has
and
not
with
been
that shit
challenged.
that woman said right before the fucking election, fuck Maxine Waters.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that as a woman who loves a black man, because that bullshit she said about black men, if it would have been said about black women, she would have had a fucking problem. Fuck you, Maxine Waters. I'm so disappointed in you. You have passed your time. Yes, you were back in the day, you could stand up, but these days it's time for you to go. And I remember I heard that video where you talk about, I'm not a sellout. Now I consider you one. Before, you had some of my respect, but the way you came at black men before the election, Maxine Waters, it is time for you to go, ma'am. And that is coming from a person whose grandmother lives in your district.
Well, goddamn. Well, God, I thought I was gonna be out of control. God damn, Stan is cooking you, putting you on the fucking grill. You understand? This shit is real.
And it starts, for me, it starts with stop giving your fucking vote away for free. Make demands for your vote from the giddy up. Listen, this community needs, this state needs, this county needs, this country needs. Make demands for your vote, because it's all we got, especially black folks. We don't have no money. All we got is our vote and our citizenship, right? That's all we got. And they're trying to dilute both of them as we speak.
You preaching, they citizenship, they trying to make that shit count for nothing.
Nothing.
Everybody else got borders. I'm tired of y'all people. Well, we shouldn't have borders. Then go fight other countries to drop their borders first. But we can't be the only country without borders.
Yeah,
they closed the Canadian border to Americans when COVID started. Get the fuck out of here.
But that whole open borders movement, you know, I've never said this before in public, but I'm going to say it. I've been thinking this for years. That whole open borders thing has to be funded by corporations. It has to be, because the only people that benefit from open borders is corporations that need cheap labor. They're the only ones that benefit from open borders.
Nah,
you think that? Go ahead, Mud.
I was gonna say upper middle class, white people. Like when they need to get their roofing done, when they need
and
a nanny.
cheap nannies and maids. Cheap nannies and also gardeners, because they'll underpay all these people. And this is the thing that kills me, right? It's like, well, we need to bring all these people here. You want to bring people here to be exploited. That's what you're telling me, right? Because listen, I'm not even going to get into my personal feelings on immigration. Let's just have a real conversation. If you were bringing a person here and instead of paying them, some places the minimum wage is $15, some places it's $12. So instead of paying them minimum wage, you're paying them $7 or $6 an hour to clean your house and watch your kids. That is fucking exploitation. So you're saying we should bring people here to be exploited because these people don't want to pay American citizens. No, we need to start prosecuting these fucking businesses and these people who are hiring people and not paying them the correct wage. Because let me tell you this, if you start doing that and people are forced to pay the real wage, they'll start hiring Americans.
Yep.
And that's all I have to say about that. And let's just be real, because, I'm not about prosecuting the people, but I am about prosecuting the corporations and the people who are hiring these people, because you guys have the money to deal with this shit. So let you go spend some time in jail. Let you deal with some shit so you can see what it is, because there are 40 million Americans out of work right now. Yep. All of that shit is some bullshit that you were talking about when you start getting into open borders.
Yeah,
40,
that's crazy.
And that's why you have people in IT competing with people who are making like $14 an hour in IT now, whereas that used to be a $30 an hour job. So you do all this work, you gain all these skills, and then they bring in people who will do your job for fucking pennies. Again, I don't care. I'm gonna say it. Like, this is like, it's like, man, you've been in the strip club for years making money, and all of a sudden a bitch come in and start sucking dick for $10, and you no longer make money because you don't suck dick for $10. I need y'all to do better.
Hey, listen, I understand what she. I don't want to know. I don't want to tell you why I understand. I'm not saying, nigga, the strip club is, nigga. I don't know, nigga. I ain't been there in 10 years. I don't know what's going on, nigga. You wildin', Sam. You wildin'. Chill the fuck out. Everybody needs to relax, man. Everybody needs to relax. Why can't everybody relax? I thought I was the one else on. Motherfuckers is not relaxing tonight, boy. I'm here for it.
Sam's on point. Sam's, and I keep saying, the entire left has been co-opted by these fucking these privileged kids. They went to these big schools that have taken over the left because they got money to build these media spaces like Chapo Trap House, Kyle Kalinske, the Young Turks. It's all
Jordan Sheridan too, and I like Jordan, but Jordan, Jordan's family got some money.
Yeah, but Jordan is a little less trash than the rest of them.
No, I'm not. No, get it twisted. This is not a dig. I'm not saying that he's a bad one. I'm just talking about how a lot of your favorites come from a certain socioeconomic standpoint. That's what I'm talking about. I personally don't have any issues with Jordan. I just need him to start talking about reparations because he talks real good about Black issues, but I'll never hear this motherfucker talk about reparations. So maybe we need to fuck with him later. And maybe we need to fuck with him later.
Yeah, but I think and part of that is the standpoint, and all these folks from these privileged backgrounds are susceptible to this open borders, excess labor doesn't lower wages thinking. They're susceptible to it because daddy needs cheap labor. Mommy needs a cheap nanny, or excuse me, stepmommy, trophy wife, stepmommy needs a cheap nanny. You know what I mean? They're susceptible to this bullshit. And until we as people on
they don't want to pay nobody $5,000-$6,000 a month to fucking watch their kids and clean their house.
To take care of their bratty ass kids, right?
24 hours a day. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, all this is again, they're all susceptible to this thinking. And then we, the rest of the country, who is right thinking and wants justice for all of us, gets screwed over because they push this nonsense that does not sit well in the data. It's not supported by data. It's not supported by history. It's just nothing. Right? And then we get stuck with, well, you don't support it. If you don't support it, that means you're a right winger. And it's just bullshit.
And for me, I don't give a fuck because, like I say all the time, I'm not left, I'm not right, I'm for the fucking people. So I don't give a fuck. Me and MG said it the other time, I don't give a fuck if Satan himself comes to me and says, this is what I will give you, what your people need. I don't give a fuck. If you could kill me right now and my people get everything they need, I would be like, fine, I don't care. Like energy, I will go off into the universe and be an ancestor. That's fine. So listen, this is about the people.
Remember me well.
Yeah, remember me well, because at least my people will be fine, right? Like, fuck me. Who cares about me? I'm one fucking person. Like, who gives a fuck? But I cannot with this shit. They just...
Hey, I just want to say, real shit. I ain't real shit. I feel like we do lean left, but we ain't left wing. We ain't with the right wing. We ain't centrist, nigga. We part of the black wing.
Because both parties both parties sit around and give them their fucking ass to kiss.
About this shit. The thing about it is, like, it's really like if you subvert to humanitarian because these people was coming here for. At the end of the day, it's like, listen, we trying to tell you, Mexicans, we've been here before. We cleaned white people houses in the 1930s for 2 cents when the price of living was $2 an hour. Like, so at the end of the day, so at the end of the day, like, you being exploited, and now you subverting the people that been here. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a big ass. People look at these things in black and white things, but it's a gray area. And the gray area comes to American Descendants of Slavery, the black people that's the gray area that people don't want to. You start talking about that shit, everybody get funny.
My great grandmother worked for I'm gonna say a wonderful Jewish lady because I love this woman. I still remember her from when I was a child. But my grandmother worked for that woman for over 44 years. Okay.
See that, but I guarantee that
my great grandmother, and then my grandmother raised. So my great grandmother raised the this woman's son, right? And then my great grandmother raised his son until he was about 13, and they sent him off to boarding school.
Crazy. And at the time, what you got to understand, but your great grandmother was working. You know what I mean? Like, at the time, that was just considered a good job for Negroes, taking care of motherfucking white people's babies.
It was, and on top of that, the woman she worked for was actually good to her. So it was all pluses. So she actually fell in a good situation. Like she had her own room. It was bigger than the room in the house that I live in now. Like
that ain't enough, though.
Everything. No, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the specific person that she worked for. She happened to land in a good situation. We have heard stories from people in our families who have not landed in good situations. I had a woman from ADOS tell me that she had an aunt in the 70s that they went and picked her up from in Alabama because she was living on the porch of some white people's house who happened to own the newspaper, and she was taking care of their family and cooking and cleaning for their kids. And when they came and asked her if she wanted to leave in front of the family, she said no. And as soon as the family left, she said, "Get me the hell up out of here." So I'm saying my great grandmother was an exception, not the rule. My great grandmother landed in a great position because she actually ended up with a Jewish woman who respected her and treated her and me like family. And I'm telling you about another woman who was sleeping on a porch. My grandmother had a big ass bedroom with TV, drawers, the best sheets, and the other lady was sleeping on the porch. Okay? So
fucked up though. But at the end of the day, man, all the work that both of them women did for the family, you should have their own fucking house.
Responded to those calls.
There's some things that I'm going to be able to do by executive order. I'm not going to hesitate to do it. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to do what used to, Vanita, you probably used to get angry with me during the debates when you'd have some of the people you were supporting say, on day one, I'm going to executive order to do this. Not within the constitutional authority. I am not going to violate the Constitution. There is a Constitution. It's our only hope. Our only hope.
So I'm going to kind of drop this and kind of run off. But DACA's Constitutional Latino Empowerment Act. Well, no, because that was under Trump. So DACA's constitutional. The Asian Pacific Islander Empowerment Act is constitutional, but doing something for Black people is not. Got anything else on that, Mud?
Yeah, and it's not like motherfuckers in this meeting were even asking for like reparations or something like that.
No, they weren't asking for shit. Like everything they were asking for was non-material. Like, do a study on what's going on with the police. Oh, well, the one bill, which is the bill for the George Floyd bill, which is actually kind of decent. But then they were like, well, if you can't do that, can you do an executive order with a couple of pieces? Not, can you turn this bill into an executive order and just make it pop? Like, this is pathetic.
Yeah, I mean.
And this is why we don't get nothing.
And he's just using the Constitution as a reason to not do anything. Like, it's just an excuse. But, you know, motherfuckers should have seen this coming.
So I always felt that Trump was going to show us what racism existed in this country that was like blatant and in your face, right? Joe Biden is about to teach America about systemic racism, and not only systemic racism, because Joe Biden is coming for white people too. Like, this is going to hit us first, but these white poors are about to feel the pain. They're about to feel the pain from Joe Biden. You think Joe Biden's going to do anything to help poor middle-class white people? He already told Black people to kiss his ass, but the only people who are about to really get any type of relief are these upper middle-class whites and Asians. But the poor Blacks, the poor whites, we about to suffer.
I mean, yeah. Honestly, Trump set it up, and all Biden's going to do is just let the shit play out. He's not going to come in and save motherfuckers.
Nope.
He's just going to let it play out.
Yeah, fuck yeah, because white people won't save you. I know I say that shit, but whitepeoplewon'tsaveyou.org. It's actually a website. Check that shit out. All right, let's go. Let's
way to deal with it is where I have executive authority, I will use it to undo every single damn thing this guy has done by executive.
Sorry, I'm gonna let it play, but Donald Trump didn't do any executive orders that hurt us. Like, to be honest.
Authority. But I'm not going to exercise executive authority where it's questioned, where I can come along and say, I can do away with assault weapons.
Sorry, correction. The one that he did about not having racial training in the federal government will affect us. But again, that doesn't put money in my pocket if it was going on.
There's no executive authority to do any of that. And no one's fought harder to get rid of assault weapons than me. But you can't do it by executive order. If you do that, next guy comes along and says, well, guess what? By executive order, I'm going to say everybody can own machine guns again. So we got to be careful. I know you all know this. I know you know it. And poor Kamala's heard me say this, and so has Cedric. I used to have a friend named Bob Gold, who was a really bright guy. Not much of it. We went to school together. He wasn't an academic whiz.
The Bob Gold story sadly doesn't go anywhere. The upshot of the anecdote is that he taught Biden the word overstand, which is a kind of black power term from back in the day that was used as a stand-in for understand, but adding in an element of higher level awareness.
He looked at me and said, Joe, I not only understand you, I overstand you. I'm sure you overstand me here.
Biden also heard from the NAACP.
Yeah, I mean, this is just some bullshit. Like he found a little slang word. He's gonna throw that out to appease the niggers.
Yeah, look, I understand you. I overstand you. Just like y'all were saying 10 years ago. So can we retire overstand in the cookout?
Should have been retired.
So maybe Mud, maybe for the years out, we should have like a list of words to retire in 2020. Because cookout can go, overstand can go, because oh my God, swag can go, like all this stuff that y'all of the dominant culture have gentrified. Y'all can have that shit. We gonna move on.
Straight up and down.
All right, we got 8 more minutes.
Pease Johnson, whose organization, among many others, had been pushing to have Representative Marcia Fudge named as Agriculture Secretary. The Biden camp had been leaning toward picking Tom Vilsack, who had also served as Obama's Secretary of Agriculture. Johnson let him know it would be a disastrous idea.
I would like to caution you in terms of the opportunity to get good people confirmed in the Senate. It would result in the outcome of this Georgia election. And anything that could peel off any of the votes would be something that could be harmful to the outcome. Former Secretary Vilsack could have a disastrous impact on voters in Georgia. Shirley Sherrod is a civil rights legend, a hero. I live in the state of Mississippi. I'm surrounded by civil rights icons, and I understand the reverence that many of them have, particularly in rural areas.
Johnson is being delicate there. His point that if Biden doesn't win Georgia, he'll struggle to get his people confirmed is a solid one, but he's being polite.
Would it be so bad if his people weren't confirmed? Most of the people he's picked are some bullshit anyways. So, like, I don't really think Biden's going to have trouble getting his people confirmed because most of them are corporatists. And being that the left and right is bought by the same people, I doubt it. What do you think, Mud?
Yeah, I agree. It's not like...
Who did he pick who was, like, controversial? Like, all these are corporatist people.
And it's not even like the Obama thing where they just have to, like, put on a show, like, we're sticking it to the black man. It's like Joe Biden, he's a good old boy. He's one of us. So as long as he doesn't pick anybody that's going to, cause any waves, who gives a fuck?
Exactly. And he hasn't picked anybody. Like, everybody who he's picked has been like a corporatist, like, putting blackface on Empire, which is the same shit that they did with Obama. Now they got a black dude who's going to be... So, like, for me, whatever. It is what it is. So I would have rather have had to fight Trump than Biden. But at this point, to be honest, I'm here for the class war. Like, I want my reparations first. But since y'all don't want to listen to us Negroes, I'm going to stir up these poor whites. Like, we've dealt with white racial terrorism for years. So maybe some of these white people need to start invoking their ancestors and start taking the fight to the oligarchy. Again, I'm not saying that they need to put hands on nobody, but y'all need to start feeling this heat and this pressure. Because like I said, talking nicely don't work. Like we saw Pelosi on TV talk about, I feed the people. How bitch, how are you feeding the people when people are in fucking bread lines, ho? And then before the election, like people, they were talking about checks. They were talking about money for unemployment. Now they done cut the shit down to no checks, barely anything for unemployment. How about this? Fuck your unemployment checks. Fuck your stimulus. We want motherfucking UBI at $3,000. That's what I want. Because if you give me $3,000 a month for the next year while this shit, and once you start that shit, how about you don't stop? Because I believe we should get a UBI anyways. I want a UBI. I want a federal jobs guarantee. I want my reparations fucking first. But if we're going to sit here and play this pandemic shit, fuck this shit. I want my money. Give me my money. Give me my money. And white people are screaming right now to give them their money too. So all of us want our money. And if you don't give us our money, people are going to start showing up to get it. I'm just saying, listen, I'm a historian, but I'm a historian. Even in this country, like people sit around and they'll watch Gangs in New York, which is a long ass movie. But do y'all not see the scene where they start running up in rich white people's houses and taking their fucking money from them? This shit will pop if y'all don't fix shit. The reason why FDR did the new deal was to save capitalism. You greedy motherfuckers, I'm glad you guys aren't doing anything because there will be no saving it this time. Because you guys are literally setting it up where the people are going to come and take everything from you. And I'm fucking here for it.
And honestly, I do think that's one good thing about Joe Biden is that, you know, Trump gave these motherfuckers a false sense that he was actually fighting for them. Like a lot of these poor white motherfuckers, they thought Trump was fighting for them. And he really wasn't. He wasn't doing shit. Joe Biden is he's not going to put on the show. He's not going to say, fuck the Mexicans. He's not going to do all this shit that makes them.
Now he's just gonna go tell them to vote for Trump like he was doing before. Anybody who didn't like his policy was like, then vote for Trump.
Yeah, I mean.
So how people think a dude who said, if you don't like what I do, fuck you, go vote for the other dude is gonna go left. I don't understand. Plus with his fucking dementia and shit, like the best thing we could, we fucked either way. I feel like how when Trump was in office and people like, well, we should impeach Trump and remove him from office. And I was like, Pence ain't gonna be no better. I want Joe Biden's fucking rickety brain dead ass to make it through his 4 years of office because Kamala bitch, she listen, and she would have some serious problems because we don't like her like we liked Obama. Because I say we as in Negroes, not in myself, because Obama was some bullshit. But that's the reason why nobody went for Kamala. If Kamala actually gets to get in office, like, bruh. And I just laugh like in the middle of like protests and people literally in the street, people brought in the law and order candidates like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Like, do you think that they're not going to be locking up your white kids that are out here in these protests? Do you think y'all ain't going to be getting black bagged and getting the Chicago treatment that they was doing to black people where they were black bagging them and putting them in off sites? The police was doing that shit. Like, they white people are really about to get the nigga treatment and they don't even understand. And I'm not here for it, but I need y'all to wake up because if not, y'all don't understand.
Yeah, you got to stop thinking that either side is like the bad guy. Like you got to stop thinking that Trump is the bad guy. You got to start thinking Biden is the bad guy. Like they all the bad guy.
Exactly.
And it like I think that we get it. And we're like trying to convince like more ADOS and more black people in general, but also white people need to get that shit too, because they think Trump was their hero and Biden was
exactly.
Like, nah, y'all motherfuckers need to get on board with the real shit. Like if y'all really want to like fix this country,
but they don't. To be honest, they don't really want to fix this country. They don't. Like, if they did, we would have. Because when I sit around and I listen where people talk about what we should do and they make proposals, most of the shit that they talk about is not going to fix the country. It's going to fix upper middle class whites. So I'm not convinced. I'm really not convinced. And the people who are smarter need to start stepping up and taking the reins and stop letting these idiots be in charge.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the talking heads, the leaders. I'm talking about like the people, like the white people on the ground, the motherfuckers that, you know, I don't know, the motherfuckers that we don't really talk to on a regular basis, but we know they're out there and they see how fucked up shit is. Like those are the motherfuckers, they gotta get a clue. Like they gotta realize like you can't keep thinking that we are the enemy, like the black people are the enemy or the Mexicans are the enemy or whatever. It's your own kind that's fucking you over. Like
fucking us all over. Mm-hmm.
With like the farmer thing and like them like begging them to take their suggestion, like y'all motherfuckers, y'all better go in there and start demanding shit and like you have power to really scare the shit out of Joe Biden if you chose to fucking use it.
They just don't want to. That's the point though, right? Like,
yeah, I mean,
this is the thing, right? This is the problem with the left. When they have leverage and when they can push, they don't, because they don't want to. This is all a show, right? So I started watching wrestling late. I don't watch that shit no more, but I started watching wrestling late, like in the early 2000s, right? Yeah. Like, all that shit's fake. Like everybody, this shit's, like it's cool to watch and it seems it's entertaining, but at the end of the day, everybody works for the same company and everybody's getting paid by the same people. And it benefits them to put on a good show. Like, this is what it is. Can we stop pretending like it's something different?
Yeah, I know, but it's like, I guess it's hard for me to tell where the line is. Like, is everybody playing a part, or it's like, are any of the politicians, anybody from the NAACP, anybody that's an activist, are all of y'all just playing a game, or do any of y'all really care? And if y'all really care, then why the fuck are y'all like entertaining this shit instead of just like, starting a whole race? Like, you should be turning over tables and saying, you know what, I'm going to go back to my community and tell them not to fuck with you. Like this, like that should be the energy that should be in these goddamn meetings, especially since this was a closed meeting. Like, why the fuck are y'all being polite and PC?
Because they want something from him more than they want something for their people. And this is the thing, like, you literally forced your people to vote for this guy and you won't even tell him, look, motherfucker, we voted for you. So if you're going to play this game, because he's talking, we haven't gotten that far. So let me go further, because he starts talking about not wanting to deal with defund the police because of Georgia and everything else. So give me 2 seconds and I'm going to pull that up so we can go through that part. So yeah, no, Joe Biden is telling us, no, I'm not going to give you nothing, and no, don't push back against me because you can cost me. Why should I care about who you want to get into those positions and those seats? Like, why should I care about who you want to get into those positions and those seats if you're not going to fight for me and my people? I don't give a fuck if your cabinet gets confirmed or not. What the fuck is it going to do for me? You already told me you're not doing shit for me, so fuck you.
That's what I'm saying. And that's the energy.
And that's what they should have said in that meeting. But that's the thing, right? The people who are in these rooms, they just pussy. And that's why I be saying that I don't want to be in these rooms. And that's why I keep saying I don't want to be in these rooms, because
I want to be in the room. I will be the only motherfucker that.
Well, this is the thing, right? When you're that person in those rooms, they put you out, which is fine by me. But that's why I like to be the person outside pushing. What we need is not coming from a savior politician. It's coming from the masses of people. We need so many people that these people can't go nowhere and do nothing without us being in their face and feeling that heat. Because then when they go in those rooms, they can have that energy because they know, listen, I'm not afraid of you. I'm afraid of these people who keep talking to me crazy in a grocery store.
Exactly.
I'm afraid of these people who won't let me walk my fucking dog. I'm afraid of these people that are lined up on my block every time I fucking leave my house to go somewhere. You feel me? That's what they need.
But see, this is the thing. Like, these politicians and whatever that like, that corralled us to go vote for Joe Biden, like they don't have that fear, and that fear should be there. Like
exactly.
It should be a natural fear because of how fucked up shit is and how they were the faces behind pushing us to Biden. Like, so they are going to be held responsible. And it's like, well, I mean, I don't know. They should be the ones that are held responsible, but I don't know if the people are going to actually do it.
I agree. Well, this is the thing. I feel like it's happening. I don't know if it's going to happen fast enough.
Yeah.
Because I see people, Janie, I see people understanding. I see people seeing what's going on, and come on. I see people. Come on. I see people like seeing what's happening, like from who's in his cabinet to everything else, right? Mm-hmm. So like all of that is kind of happening right now, right?
Yeah.
So, and I feel like that's starting to help with like waking people up, right? So it's not, to be honest, COVID gives us a weird place because we can't do everything we need to do, right?
Yeah.
Because we can't be in the streets on the levels we want to be in the streets, even though some people are in the street, but realistically, we need millions of people in the street. And at this moment, to have millions of people in the street would not be good for us because of our health. But to be honest, if shit gets bad enough, people are going to be like, well, fuck it, I'm going to die anyway. So
shit, I'm honestly, with all these evictions, I'm shocked that motherfuckers ain't at the Capitol every fucking day in every goddamn city.
I think it's coming. Did you see what was happening in Portland where they were shutting that shit down, where the police couldn't evict that family?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's coming. It's happening. It's just isn't going to happen fast enough. But I think, like I said, I think the reason why it's not more chaotic is because of COVID.
It'll also block his entire legislative agenda. But our younger listeners might not remember the story of Shirley Sherrod, who Johnson mentions at the end of that clip. Let's take you back to July 19th, 2010, when Andrew Breitbart posted a short clip of her speaking before an NAACP audience. At the time, Sherrod was the Georgia State Director of Rural Development for the Agriculture Department.
You know, the first time I was faced with having to help a white farmer save his farm, he took a long time talking, but he was trying to show me he was superior to me. Right. I knew what he was doing, right, but he had to come to me for help. Mm-hmm. What he didn't know while he was taking all that time trying to show me he was superior to me was I was trying to decide just how much help I was going to give him. I was struggling with the fact that so many black people have lost their farmland, and here I was faced with having to help a white person save their land. So I didn't give him the full force of what I could do.
By the end of the day, she'd been fired, with Vilsack saying that she had to go because she was an obstacle to the agency's effort to reckon with its troubled past on racial justice issues. Sherrod, who was married to civil rights legend Reverend Charles Sherrod, said she'd been taken out of context and that she was telling a story of growth, redemption, and rethinking, not one of hate. The NAACP, after she'd been canned, found the full audio of her talks, and here's the critical part that was left out.
So I took him to a white lawyer. I figured if I take him to one of them, that his own kind would take care of him. That's when it was revealed to me that y'all, it's about poor versus those who have. And not so much about white. It is about white and black, but it's not, you know, it opened my eyes because I took him to one of his own and I put him in his hand and felt, okay, I've done my job.
From there, Sherrod talks about how the lawyer didn't actually do anything and the farmer came to her in desperation a week before the foreclosure. She scrambled and found an attorney who'd worked with the area's black farmers and urged him to take the man's case. Here was her conclusion.
Working with him made me see that it's really about those who have versus those who don't. You know, and they could be black, they could be white, they could be Hispanic. And it made me realize then that I needed to work to help poor people, those who don't have access the way others have.
So that's the gag. That's why she really got fired, right? She didn't get fired because she said she didn't want to help the white man in the beginning because she felt like she had already had to help her folks. You know, her people were losing. Where she got fired was when she said at least I feel how she got fired was when she said that she realized it wasn't about black and white. It was about the poor, which, you know, ADOS can kill me for that later, but it's okay. But I think what happened was when she said that, now she was going to become a champion of poor people. And when you become a champion of poor people in that farming space, that means you're focusing on them versus big agra and everything else. So she was talking, she didn't realize that she was talking class war shit, but she was talking class war shit. You there, Mud? You got anything? Mud, you still there?
Yeah, sorry, I muted my shit. The thing about it though is even if they said everything like was hello? Oh,
I'm saying
even if even if everything they said was the truth, like she got fired because they thought it was some like weird reverse racism type bullshit.
Which I hate reverse racism.
It's a bunch of nonsense that they came up with. But even if that were the case, like, did you hear them like say the reason why she got fired was because she didn't what was the exact words they used? Something about she didn't meet the mission.
Yeah, because they were trying to do something about deal with the racial. Basically, they were talking about what happened to black people, but then firing her for discriminating against a white person. But it's black people who historically have been losing their farms, and yeah.
If anything, what she was talking about was that was the mission, to focus on the black people, like to focus on the people.
But that's the thing, you're not allowed to focus on black people, right? Like nobody wants black people to have anything. So you'll sit around and help people over and over and over again and help families through generations. But black families, we're supposed to get our shit together. Like I had this white person online talk about the Moynihan report, and he was basically trying to blame the black. He said the reason why we are so high in prison levels and stuff like that is because of culture. And I was like, what the fuck? Like for you in 2020 to be trying to say that what's happening to black people is culture versus systemic, because one of my white reparationist ladies, I don't use her name because I don't want to put her name out there. I guess we're not gonna have a conversation because I talk about it all the time. We actually had a conversation about how I talk about her. So, but my friend who is a part of my reparations group, who happens to be a white woman, like this guy was talking about, well, wouldn't it have been if we would have put the energy that we put in the Civil War around the world, we would have gotten rid of Civil War, we would have got rid of slavery around the world. And she was like, yeah, but we're still dealing with slavery, Jim Crow. And he basically said that like Jim Crow, mass incarceration, redlining had nothing to do with slavery. So he was basically saying that, oh no, that stuff doesn't have anything to do with happening now. And then he was like, but the wage gap. And I was like, see, this is that liar shit, right? So we're talking about a wealth gap and you're talking about a wage gap. That's not the same shit. And it's just all these people are out here lying and being on some bullshit, right? And even with what happened with her, right? It's like it's supposed to be about us, but then you find another way to make it about everybody else. And even when you make it about everybody else, you don't even care about fixing their poor people. So if you were fixing all poor people, at least we would get a bone. We would still be fighting, but at least we would have a bone to fight with.
Word. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And it's crazy to me, like how quick motherfuckers were like ready to get rid of her, and that's just
she got fired that day, literally that day. Like they didn't go through, do no investigation, and that's the thing. They probably never wanted her there in the first place. And the fact that Obama didn't do anything about it, like, come on.
Exactly, like it's fucked up. Oh, what I wanted to say about that fucking that culture shit, like, yo, I don't even go down that route, like that rabbit hole with motherfuckers. As soon as you start talking that shit, I just know you're a fucking idiot. Like you're like there's no way you're gonna be able to have like a constructive discussion about any of this shit. You're just lost in the sauce on some white supremacist shit. Maybe when you grow up, we can come back around and have a conversation about some real shit. But
I just found it funny where he was talking about the Moynihan report. And the thing about it is, back in the day, they would talk about the Negro problem. But I'm with Irony. When are we going to start talking about white institutions? When are we going to talk about that? So I'll leave that for Irony. But
that's the thing. Like, all right, you're stuck on.
Tell me this: how many black school shooters are there? No, where like black kids went in and just shot up the whole school randomly. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know none of that. I don't know
how many black Aurora, Colorado shooters. The only black mass shooter I can really think of is the freaking DC sniper, and he wasn't Adolf.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think that motherfuckers are stuck trying to fight like some old battle, and it's like, nah, we need to start having new conversations. Like, we can't keep going back to the fucking 60s.
They're fighting the last war. It's just funny because they talk about that in 33 Strategies of War. Like, you don't fight the last war. And that's our problem. We are literally fighting the last war, but everything has changed and adapted since that time.
Yeah. Straight up.
All right, let me go. Let me go back to plan.
After that, Vilsack apologized and offered her a job back at the USDA. But this new job would focus on fixing the agency's race issues. She said she didn't want that burden and turned it down. Flash forward 10 years again and back to Johnson.
Shirley Sherrod is a civil rights legend, a hero. I live in the state of Mississippi. I'm surrounded by civil rights icons, and I understand the reverence that many of them have, particularly in rural areas. So I want to make sure that as you consider appointments, that you do so with November 5th in mind, so that we don't miss an opportunity to be able to get confirmed some of the outstanding candidates that you're going to bring forward. If you decide to take that route, I strongly encourage you to reach out to Ms. Sherrod, have a conversation with her. I strongly encourage you to talk to Black farmers so that you have a clear understanding of the impact any decision can have on the January 5th election. It is our goal as NAACP, it is our goal as civil rights community for this administration to be successful. And it can only be the success we need it to be if we have the ability to get good people confirmed.
Biden, however, used the warning on Sherrod as a jumping off point for a counter warning. Don't push too hard on police reform, he told the group. At least not now.
One of the things I'd be concerned about, just as was pointed out to me that you wanted me to be concerned, Derek, I think.
What the fuck does police have to do with the farming issue? Like,
he's telling us niggas that we have to get in line and shut up the same way Obama did. This is Joe Biden's Ben Jealous, and what was the other dude? Was it Ben Jealous? Was it Ben Jealous, or remember when the picture when they were out in the snow? Yeah. This is that moment. This is their sister soldier moment. They are literally getting it before this motherfucker even gets in office.
Yo, I can't believe how much ass kissing that motherfucker was doing to try to get the sister in position. Like, don't you understand that we have the fucking power in this regard? Like, we gave this motherfucker the presidency, and like, we're still sitting here kissing ass. Like this, like, we gotta grow the fuck up and
not getting shit.
Like, we
ain't getting a motherfucking thing.
Like, we gotta get some goddamn balls. And the shit that kills me is that these same motherfuckers have balls, but they have it when they talking to us.
Oh my God, yeah. You ain't lying. They talk to us so greasy, and they talk to us, and they. Well, this is going to be the end of this episode of Reset Race. If you want to hear the rest of this, where me and Mud finished going through the rest of this Biden video, you'll have to check it out in the Negro meetings later on down the line. So everybody have a good night.
Listening to Reset Race, you're now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race, you're now tuned in to Reset Race. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, back on the grill again. We grilling them, You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake. Lineage go back to U.S. Southern plantations. Peonage, Jim Crow, and mass incarceration. Redlining lynchings. We are old from this nation. You're not about justice if you ain't for reparations. MG the wise one, cousin mother intellectual. Samantha bringing fire, anti-black, we pressing you. No permanent friends and no permanent enemies. The backbone of the country, to win, you need our energy. You gon' see? Listening to Reset Race. You now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake.